It's Thanksgiving week, and Trey baked a pie.
Nice. I was wrong last week. Hopefully I'm not going to be this week. Sparty's coming to State College.
Toodles lost his marbles. Coach Franklin has lost his offense. Blue White Tailgate starts right now.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Blue White Tailgate Show presented by Coors Light. Steve Jones, Trey Bauer, and because of tryptophan, Todd Sadowski not here this week. We have Andrew Callista instead. And to all of you, we hope you're enjoying your Thanksgiving weekend. Trey, tough one last week. They go into Illinois. Look, I think a lot of people had confidence they would win this game. They ended up losing by 2.
I think that they had a lot of confidence they were going to win the game. I mean, the fact is that they played well against Temple. Defense was stout again, established the running game. The fact is the great teams, the good teams make the plays where they need to. They don't have stupid mistakes, and we had too many silly mistakes.
And that brings us to Frankly Speaking, brought to you by Blaze Alexander Family Dealerships. Head coach James Franklin after the game.
We didn't play well enough in all three phases. To get the outcome that we wanted. Offensively, we played about the way we've played all year long. We start out the opening drive, going right down the field, doing whatever we want. From that point on, we had missed assignments, penalties, errors that were difficult, made it difficult on us.
Very honest assessment, Andrew.
I mean, they did not play well, and he said from that time that Sam Ficken couldn't get that field goal off, it seemed like the wind was taken out of the sails. That's the difference in the game. It would have been a 2-score game at that point. And is Tim Beckman a good enough coach to even get his players who were not inspired in that game in an empty stadium to come back from 2 scores?
And for whatever reason, Penn State against some of the lower level defenses, they have struggled offensively against them as we look at the numbers. And you can see they're 2-2 in those games against the bottom 4 defenses in the conference. All right, let's get to the drive of the game. The drive of the game brought to you by our good friends at Stocker Chevrolet, located on the Benner Pike across from the Nittany Mall. The Nittany Lions are down 10-7 at this stage, and they, near the end of the third quarter, delivering out of the pocket, Christian Hackenberg, Jesse James out of bounds. Near the end of the third quarter, they get the running game as they try to kick that into gear. A little pitch play. Now they try to run the reverse to Geno Lewis. Only picked up a yard on that play. They go to the air one more time. Good pass by Hackenberg to Jesse James, who hurdles his way into Illinois territory. And then the longest run of Akeel Lynch's career, 47 yards. James in front, plowing the road here at the end, and that takes it home. Gives Penn State the lead. They eventually lost it 16-14. That is our drive of the game, brought to you by Stocker Chevrolet, located on the Benner Pike across from the Nittany Mall. All right, so Akeel Lynch, 137 in that one. That's back-to-back 100-yard rushing games for him.
Absolutely. I mean, I think this is what we're all saying kind of for the whole year is Akeel Lynch, he's a talented guy. He works hard. When is his time when is he going to step up? When is his time going to be? Well, I guess it is now.
Yep, back-to-back 100-yard rushing games. He is our family clothesline player of the week offensively. And Andrew, when you watch some of this here, he does a good job of setting up blocks and getting himself. He needs to make that guy in the second level miss, though. And
yeah,
that's the key.
I like the power that he brings inside the tackle. He likes to say whatever hole you're going to hit, make sure you hit it hard. He does that. He did have the one fumble where he kind of got his arm yanked on and the ball kind of squirmed out right there. Those are some of the mistakes that he's had along with pass protection, but he seems to be working those kinks out, and he's getting more significant playing time and having big games.
No question. So 137 to go with the 130 the week before. So he's on a roll right now with 267 yards. The 47-yard run, that's where he made the guy in the second level miss, and that's where he took it home from there. He does more of that. He's going to continue to get big plays. Coming up, we'll talk with Will Tiemann from the Michigan State Radio Network. We'll also talk with Michael Robinson and his relationship with Christian Hackenberg. He'll talk about the number of times he texts quarterback to quarterback. That's all coming up on our show. Plus, we'll take a look at games that Trey cares about. That's all on the Blue White Tailgate Show, presented by Coors Light. All right, a lot of hard knocks there without question, Trey, as you look at the Penn State offense, and that's what we're going to talk about here, the Penn State offense at this particular stage. I felt, man, I'll speak for myself, I felt they were starting to finally generate something to the point where maybe a play-action game could help them, and then they had that game against Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is that they just can't get out of their own way right now. You just feel like it's going to get better. They start establishing a running game a couple games ago. Things are going well, and then they can't get it done when they need to get it done.
If field position had been an issue during the 4-game losing streak, it wasn't an issue at all in this game. They had great starting spots. Their own 48, their own 46, and their 48-yard line, their first 3 drives. And I think missing the field goal early, I think, it hurt them. It could have been a 2-score game.
You know, absolutely. I mean, the fact is that when you have the talent level and the things that have happened to Penn State team this year, you've got to take advantage of those opportunities. And you know, the great teams, the really good teams, always take advantage of those, you know, field positions, turnovers, whatever, and it seems to go to our advantage, but for whatever reason, they just couldn't get it done.
Well, someone who would know something about the passing game and about offense, obviously, is Michael Robinson. We bring him in by way of Skype, Super Bowl champion, Big Ten champion, Big Ten silver football winner. Mike, great to have you with us.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
You've watched it, and as you watch it, what are your thoughts on what you're seeing at Penn State's offense?
Well, definitely you can see that Christian Hackenberg, he's not comfortable behind that offensive line right now. I thought they made some headway last week in running the football and things like that, and I thought they would get back to it a little bit more against Illinois. I really did not think that we, and I say we meaning Penn State, I did not think that we would lose to Illinois. A few weeks ago that they were talking about, firing Illinois' coach. So I just did not think that we would lose to him. I think there is something to say. Again, Christian is not comfortable behind that offensive line. I can see it. I would also think that there's some issues as far as having a guy like Bill O'Brien, who is the quarterback whisperer, even in the National Football League, to have a guy like that be with him in his first year. And then, not to slight anybody on the staff now, but Bill O'Brien is a really, really top-notch great quarterback coach, and it just seems like Christian is missing him right now.
Hey, Michael, if there's something that you could say to help Christian Hackenberg get through, I mean, you had some adversity here at Penn State, moving around. You obviously you were a great quarterback here, but you had some adversity. What advice would you give Christian Hackenberg regarding the final few games of the season?
I text Christian all the time. He didn't know it was me. He didn't know it was me texting him at first. But yeah, I text him all the time, and we've been talking back and forth. And what I tell him is, behind every great storm, behind every big time, storm or rain that we get, there's always sunshine behind that. Stay with it. Just put your head down to the grindstone and just work. The team will get out of it by how they see him work. He doesn't have to be the rah-rah guy. I was a rah-rah guy. I was a guy who, if you messed up, I was going to tell you about it. And if you had something to say about it, we were going to fight about it, and then we're going to duke it out, and we'll be friends afterwards. But I don't know if Christian's that guy. I tell him to just, lead by example, show how hard you're working, always give credit to other people on that team. That's how you're going to win continue to be the leader and win that team. And just work, man. Just work. He's a great talent, in my opinion. He's one of the best quarterbacks in college football today. I feel like he'll be a first-round pick, if not the first pick overall, if he continues to grow. But he has to continue to get better. He cannot regress any.
How important, Michael, is it away from what we see where when this season's over, he buries himself in film work and things like that?
I think it's very important. I think it's very important he understands who he is as a football player, who he is as a person. I felt like I didn't have growth and become the player that I, eventually became until I figured out who I was as a person. And it happened after that 2002 season. We went to the Citrus Bowl, now the Capital One Bowl, and lost to a really good Auburn football team. But after that game, it was questions in there: would I transfer? Would I leave? Being the fact that they put Zach Mills back in the game, and I had to find myself that offseason. I had to really look and see who I was as a person, and then see and look on tape to see who I was as a football player, and then see who I was as a person and a football player, would that look like at another university? And it didn't bode well with me. That's why I stayed. So I think Christian, I think he's in a good spot. I think he's a great talent. But first of all, I hope he stays with us. But he just has to keep grinding and put his head down and just grind.
Michael, when your conversations with him via text or phone call, what advice is he asking from you? I mean, obviously you're one of the great ones that we've had here, and you had a wonderful career, and obviously in the NFL he did well as well. So, I mean, what is actually as he asking you for your advice?
Well, right now, I know they're going through so much adversity. We text back and forth, but he hadn't really asked for anything. I think he's just kind of absorbing what I'm willing to give, and I would love to get up there before the season's out, but obviously with my Sunday work schedule, it's tough. But I want to get up there and talk to him, sit down with him face to face. It's almost, what I see on television, again, it may be different, but what I see on television, it just looks like he needs somebody to vent to a little bit, somebody that understands where he's coming from. I've been behind tough offensive lines. I've been behind, and I've been the focal point of an offense where there's not much more going on, and you feel the brunt of the blame. You feel the responsibility. You feel like it's on your shoulders, and that can be overwhelming for a 19-year-old. He can't put it all on himself. I think the coaching staff and the play calling has to do some things to take some off his plate a little bit. But Christian will be fine. He will be fine. He's a great talent. He's unbelievably mature to be his age, and I think he'll be fine.
Michael, as always, a complete pleasure. Thanks so much for your insight.
Thank you, guys.
Michael Robinson. We'll come back with more of the Blue White Tailgate Show after this.
Those Spartans, always a big challenge, and we'll get to Will Tiemann to talk about them in just a bit. But first, a recruiting update, and one question on everybody's mind: will Penn State offer a specialist this season? And Coach Huff said this on a teleconference: yeah, they want to, that's the plan, but they have too many holes to fill in the boat right now that's leaking. Not necessarily sure I agree with that. Don't think the ship is taking on water. Rivals 100 DB Garrett Taylor out of Richmond, Virginia, the former Michigan commit, visited Ohio State last week, liked it, got to talk about the scholarship situation out there, but he's here in Happy Valley this week on an official visit. Hopefully Coach Franklin can impress him. He understands that Penn State is in a rebuilding mode, and one other thing, LSU is also on his list. Some 2016 offers going out. Connor McGovern out of Lake Lehman, Coach Hand likes him at center, and also QB Jake Zembek nearing a decision. Also, Austrian Johnson, the defensive tackle, Maryland still the favorite right there for him. We take a look at the Health South injury update board. The usual cast of characters add Christian Campbell, Brandon Bell, Bill Belton. That's a lot of alliteration. All in doubt for the finale against Michigan State, but we're not really sure. We don't get to talk injuries with the staff. Heck, we don't even get to talk to the coaches after the game. Steve, back to you.
Thank you, Andrew, and we welcome in my old friend Will Tiemann, host on the Michigan State Football Network, play-by-play voice of Michigan State basketball. Will, great to have you with us.
Well, Steve, it's always good, and I would imagine great times for Penn State, bowl eligibility, a lot of good things going on, and I'm sure when we get there it'll be, 82 and sunny?
Absolutely. It's going to be gorgeous out. Can't wait. A lot of suntan lotion. Perfect. Huge crowd will be there, too. Let's get to Michigan State football. You know, Duffy Daugherty had some awesome years. In reality, as you watch this play out, are we watching the golden age of Michigan State football?
I think we are, Steve. I really do. And it's interesting when as you know, when you're in the middle of it. But then when you step back just for a second and you go, wait a minute, look what's going on here. I mean, when we were last at your place and won a piece of a Big Ten title, that had been 20 years between titles. Now we're talking about winning titles every other year, being in the hunt for this and that, and the pipeline is good, and the coaching is solid. And maybe the key to this whole thing, because the records are the records, and I think at the end of this D'Antonio era, it will be one of the great golden moments in MSU football history. But maybe the biggest thing, and me and you have talked about this, Michigan State for years has had some quality football coaches. Nick Saban was here, for example. But what was always missing was none of these people were really Michigan State's coach. They coached here, and they had success, but they weren't the coach at Michigan State. Mark D'Antonio is the coach at Michigan State. He loves it. He can sell it. He's good at what he does. And as you know, that's a big difference. When you're just having guys passing through is one thing, but when you actually get the guy, then you're in business.
Yeah, no question. A year ago, a little more than a year ago, he had to make a big decision. He settled on Connor Cook. What has that decision meant to the success over 2 years?
Michigan State has the success it had without Connor Cook. Now, as you know, he is not a storybook quarterback. He can make a silly play and then come right back and make a spectacular play. But at the end of the day, the guy has lost one Big Ten game as a quarterback starter, and that's amazing over 2 years. I mean, he's won. And the other part about all of that, forget the stats and forget the winning, the people in the offensive huddle like playing with Connor Cook. He's one of those guys that people just like him. They want to be around him. They want to be part of what he does, and they trust him and believe him. And he's got skill. Yeah. But when you think about it, that was a key move. And what was interesting about the move to bench a starter, to go with the guy is somewhat of a gunslinger, a little bit different than your normal Michigan State quarterback off the field. And it's been critical because he was the missing piece. And you know, you can't win at any major level without a quarterback, and Michigan State's got one.
No question. Final 30 seconds here, Will. The 31 takeaways. I ran the stats. It looks like everyone has one.
They do. And it's interesting, Michigan State is in the top of many categories in the Big Ten, but not one time this year have they had a player of the week. And some of that is due to the fact that they're really a good team. Everybody's a piece of it. And so it's interesting. All the stats could be higher straight across the board individually, but they spread the wealth around. The defense is really good. The offense isn't bad either. It's record-setting. So I agree with you, Steve. When you look at the whole picture, we're probably sitting right in the middle of a golden era of MSU football.
Will, always a pleasure. Can't wait to see you Saturday on this Thanksgiving weekend. Thanks so much, my friend. Appreciate the time.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon.
We'll come back with more in a moment. There's a group of seniors that will do that for the final time in their respective careers at Beaver Stadium, walk through the tunnel for the final time onto the field. We'll talk about that in a moment. We get to our Defensive Player of the Week. Marcus Allen, the true freshman who has stepped in and has played so well. He's become a hitter. He's not afraid to go out there and lay somebody out. He's also become better at pass coverage. Look at this play down the center of the field as he gets right into the mix and knocks that one away. If you want to run the ball, Donovan Young comes up, breaks a tackle there, gets to the outside. There's number 2 to clean him up and take him down for a 1-yard gain. Marcus Allen, our family clothesline Defensive Player of the Week. Well, we get to this Thanksgiving weekend. We're always thankful to hear the golden tones of the wonderful Fran Fisher upon further review.
To many of us, the 2014 football season passed very quickly, and to some, not quick enough. This, upon further review of the 2014 season, can be summed up in 2 words: Murphy's Law. Goodbye, folks. Seriously, I have never experienced an Nittany football season where the offense and kicking game did so many bad things at bad times. And it's hard to win when only 1/3 of your game, the defense, is operating efficiently and successfully. While running the ball was a problem all season, to me, a puzzling question is, what has happened to the passing game? And that can be coupled with another equally puzzling question: what has happened to Christian Hackenberg? Hack threw for just 93 yards against Illinois and only 112 yards against Temple. That lack of production, of course, is not all on Hackenberg's back. No, I'm not getting into the offensive line bit. But he has missed an unusual number of open receivers, even on short routes. Is he holding the ball too long? He also seems to lack the fire and the show of confidence that were his persona last year and earlier this year. Having said all that, I have every confidence that Hack will be back, that he deserves our support, just as sticking with Ficken was a wise choice preseason. What else do I have to say? Wait till next year. For WHVL's Blue White Tailgate Show, this has been my swan song on Upon Further Review. I'm Fran Fisher.
Always great to hear Fran Fisher. All right, let's get to the games. Oregon State, Civil War, Corvallis, you say?
I don't care. I don't care. Don't care.
And we transition now to the Egg Bowl. Mississippi State, Ole Miss. Ole Miss just got shut out by Arkansas.
This is still the best Egg Bowl in the history of the entire Egg Bowl. Mississippi State has to impress the College Football Playoff Committee. They're trying to get that fourth spot.
Ole Miss is different since Treadwell got hurt. I mean, really, really different. Now, the Iron Bowl. Alabama, Auburn.
I like this game. I think it's a great rivalry. Again, you've got two storied programs. You've got two teams that historically cheat very well against each other. You've got fallen trees. You've got all kinds of stuff. I mean, I would love to see Auburn take it to them.
All right, keys to this one with Michigan State.
Keys to the Michigan State is how are the seniors going to respond after a very, very up and down season? They've had a tumultuous career at Penn State, and how are they going to react?
Your keys?
Just come out, play fast and loose. You have nothing to lose and take it to them.
And for the senior class, at a time when you go through crisis, you need people to step up as leaders and also display guts. Well, this group of individuals, over the last 3 years in particular, have displayed both of those great qualities, leadership and guts. For Trey, Andrew, I'm Steve Jones. Thanks for joining us in the Blue White Tailgate presented by Coors Light.